Hi, Epic Recaps here, and today I'm going to explain to you a 2020 American superhero horror film titled The New Mutants. If you want to be spoiled, keep watching. The scene opens and a teenage girl named Dani Moonstar is awakened by her father in the middle of the night. Their house is on fire and they quickly rush out before turning back and watching it explode. Running into the woods, her father safely leaves her inside a tree and heads back to the reservation to help the remaining residents. A moment later, his dead body falls in front of Dani and she quickly abandons her hiding spot. Hearing an unfamiliar growl, she tries to make a run for it, but she slips and tumbles down a hill. The scene changes to some time later and Dani wakes up in an unfamiliar setting. Handcuffed to a bed, she drags it around the room to look for a way out. Noticing a security camera, she begins to struggle and demands to be released. Dr. Cecilia Reyes enters the room and informs her that she is the sole survivor of a tornado that destroyed her reservation. Escorting her to her new room, the doctor tells Dani that she is a mutant and that they're at a facility that helps new mutants harness and control their power. The next day Dani attends a session held by Dr. Reyes, along with several other teenagers who are also being held at the facility. Encouraged to speak about their abilities, Rain, who has the ability to turn into a wolf, shares that she discovered her ability after a near-death beating by a local priest. When asked to share hers, Ileana, who can summon a magical sword, gets up to leave, but is stopped by the doctor who asks her to show Dani around. Taking a disliking to her, Ileana plays a prank and encourages her to escape the property. Dani runs as fast as she can and crashes into a force field surrounding the facility. When she sees Ileana laughing at her, she is angry and rushes towards her, but falls to the ground when Ileana teleports. Feeling lost and alone, Dani makes her way to the top of the clock tower where she contemplates ending her life. Before she is able to jump, Rain, who has been watching Dani from a distance, appears and convinces her that she is not alone and has a friend. Returning from the tower, they bump into Sam, who is attaching a heavy rope to his harness. He suddenly flies into the air, whipping around and is unable to control his explosive power. Leaving him to his training, Rain takes Dani to the cafeteria where she shares information about the other mutants. Dani learns that Bobby, who comes from a rich Brazilian family, was sent to the facility to be cured of his power, a power which he is unwilling to reveal. She mentions the constant monitoring and Rain explains that it is for their safety, and believes the program will help them live normal lives. That night, Dani has a nightmare and her mutant ability is revealed. She has the power to make a person's worst fears come to life. The scene cuts to the laundry room where Sam hears a strange noise coming from one of the machines. Reaching out, he is transported back to the mine, where he sees his dead father, still alive. The traumatic emotion triggers his ability and he is thrown back against the wall. Later in the recreation room, Ileana makes racial comments towards Dani, which angers her. Retaliating, she rips Ileana's puppet out of her hands and a shoving match ensues. Ileana summons her magical sword and Dr. Reyes arrives just in time to save Dani. Both girls are assigned to solitary confinement for breaking the house rules. Alone in the cell, a vulnerable Ileana talks to her puppet, recalling a frightening childhood memory. Overhearing her next door, Dani falls asleep and has visions of a ghastly figure with glowing red eyes. Dr. Reyes, who's been watching her, notices Dani emit elevated power levels and takes her for additional tests. Meanwhile, Rain attends church confession and runs out when she hears the voice of the priest that tormented her. Later that night, believing that Dr. Reyes is asleep, the group heads to a secret room in the attic, the only place they believe is not monitored by security cameras. Ileana attaches a lie detector to Bobby, who lies about how successful he has been with girls in his past. Sam goes next, and tells them about his piece of coal that his father gave him before he died. Turning her attention to Dani, she asks her about the necklace around her neck. Dani tells them it represents an old Native American proverb, about two bears, a good bear and an evil bear, that are in a constant battle for your soul. Ileana is the last to put on the polygraph and reveals to everyone that she has killed 18 men in her hometown. It turns out the attic is also monitored and the next day Dr. Reyes discusses the importance of obedience, explaining that without it they are unable to move on to the next facility. Sam confesses that he has been seeing things, and fears that he can't be helped. Rain, who has also been experiencing the same thing, remains silent. Later that day, Ileana tells the group that she spiked the doctor's tea, which allows the group to enjoy some freedom. In the recreation room, Sam admits to Bobby that he accidentally killed his father with his powers. Even after hearing Sam's confession, Bobby is still unable to talk about his powers. Rain and Dani head outside to watch the rain hit the force field. They share a kiss and Danny notices Rain's eyes change color, but isn't frightened by it. Back inside, Bobby joins Ileana for a swim, and they kiss passionately, causing him to steam up and ignite his hidden powers. Bobby finally confesses that his fire powers killed his girlfriend. Unafraid of him, Ileana continues to playfully flirt. The scene cuts to show Ileana on security footage, who's been alone in her room the entire time. Bobby has a horrible vision of his charred girlfriend, which causes his powers to flare up, and his body is consumed by flames. The fire alarm sounds and Dr. Reyes rushes in, pushing Bobby into the pool. He blames Ileana, who tells him she was never with him. Dr. Reyes confirms her story, which upsets Bobby and he demands she let him leave. She refuses and locks everyone down for the night. The next day, when Dr. Reyes is running tests on Danny, she tells her she remembers being chased by a demon bear before waking up in the facility. Suddenly, Danny's powers start to take over, and the other mutants begin to experience their worst nightmares. The priest from Rain's past appears, but she knows that he can't be real because she killed him. Real or not, he knocks her down and brands her. Dr. Reyes hears her screams and rushes to help her. Rain changes back to her human form, and she has a new mark on her neck. Ileana appears and blames Danny for everything, concluding that the strange events began only after Danny arrived. Ileana grabs Danny and opens a portal to a desolate dimension. In an effort to save herself, she uses her powers and summons the mask from Ileana's childhood, which frightens her. Dr. Reyes catches Ileana, and before she is tranquilized, she tells the doctor that Danny is in their heads. Danny visits Ileana in her room and returns her puppet she left behind. Ileana tells her that the dimension they went to is called Limbo and was created so that she could escape the masked men that came for her. At her computer, Dr. Reyes receives an email informing her that Danny is too dangerous and must be eliminated. Making her way to the doctor for more tests, Danny tells Rain that she believes the facility is not a hospital, and they both agree to figure out a way to escape. Dr. Reyes wheels Danny into an operating room where she injects her with an unknown drug. Questioning the doctor, she quickly realizes that something is not right. Elsewhere, Ileana, Sam and Rain hear music coming from a bedroom. As they walk down the hall, Ileana realizes that the sound is coming from her bedroom. Rain goes to ask Dr. Reyes for help. This time Sam and Ileana both see the horrible man with a mask from Ileana's nightmare. They try to run away, but more creatures appear from the other rooms. Another one drops from the ceiling, surprising Sam and grabbing Ileana. Sam attacks the creature with a fire extinguisher. In the kitchen, Bobby blasts one of the creatures that was trying to sneak up on him. Dr. Reyes injects a poison into an IV bag and a weakened Danny is unable to fight back. Rain climbs into the room through a vent and attacks Dr. Reyes, who manages to get free by stabbing Rain in the leg. With the doctor gone, Rain helps Danny get free. In the hall, Ileana and Sam run into Dr. Reyes and ask her for help. Setting her eyes on the creature, she is frightened and runs away. Ileana, still trapped in her nightmare, is paralyzed by fear. Sam tries to reassure her, but is too frightened, she teleports away. Now alone, Sam uses his power and blasts into the monsters. Escaping, he finds Bobby unsuccessfully punching his way out through the force fields. They go back to try to look for the others, battling their way through the creatures. A portal suddenly opens and Ileana emerges. Having gathered her bravery, she flies out, slicing the monsters and disposing of them easily. They find Danny and Rain in Dr. Reyes' office, where she tells them that the doctor tried to kill Danny. Suspicious, the group locates their individual files and discovers that they weren't being treated at all. Rather, they were being evaluated as potential weapons. Now determined to escape, the group looks to take down the force field. Tracking down the doctor, they find her in the infirmary, bandaging her wounds. Before the group can react, she casts a force field over them and tells them they are free to go with the exception of Danny, who must be killed. Dr. Reyes crushes the force field around Danny, which causes her to pass out. Appearing out of nowhere, a giant demon bear crashes through the wall, causing the force field to collapse. Unable to wake Danny up, Rain realizes that the demon bear is Danny's worst nightmare. Ileana tells them to keep her safe, and then turns to open a portal. With her full power activated, Ileana and her magical pet dragon square off with the creature but is unable to slow it down. The remaining mutants take refuge in the church and Sam joins Ileana in the fight. The demon, interested only in Danny, locates her and Rain hiding in the church. In an attempt to distract it, Bobby ignites his power but is quickly taken down by the beast. Watching her friends' failed attempts, Rain jumps on the bear's head, but her little claws are no match for the demon. Nearing death, Rain desperately calls out to Danny, who suddenly awakens. Danny faces her nightmare and slowly approaches the bear. At that moment, she realizes that fear is a part of her, but that it doesn't have to control her. Danny removes her necklace and places it in her pocket. The bear, which turned out to be her inner demon, vaporizes into black smoke. The next morning, the mutants examine the carnage from the battle. Sam, who is inspired by Danny's bravery, finally faces his own demon and launches the piece of coal into the sky. Noticing that the force field is no longer in place, they leave the facility together. The end. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment down below. For more movie recaps, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. See you next time.